Men average. He a story you can follow. 6:30 in the morning, his apartment on the south side of town. He drives 25 minutes to his office. He sits in his chair by 8 a.m. He earns $65,000 a year. He pays his rent on time. He never misses a bill. You know, the hard work stability. Men building something, except the money does not move the way you think it does. Samuel brings home about $4,100 a month after taxes for a one-bedroom in New Orleans, runs $1,450, not St. Charles Street, not Lakeview, just a regular apartment in a decent neighborhood that is before the lights come on, before the water runs, before he buys a single bag of groceries. We talk about earning a good salary like it is the same thing as financial security, but what most people do not see is the gap between the number on the offer letter and the number that is left on the table. Samuel is not broke, but he is not safe either, and those two things are not the same. That man in the car with a factory badge on his chest, he is not winning the grind story. He running a race so drawn out long before he ever clocked in. However, when people imagine a man earning $65,000 a year, they comfort a cushion room to breathe. That picture is wrong, according to the U.S. Bureau of Labor Statistics. The median weekly earnings for black man in the first quarter of 2026 came in at $16.72.6 cents for every dollar earned by white men. And according to the 2024 American Community Survey from the U.S. Census Bureau, 58.8% of black renters in America are spending more than 30% of their income on rent alone. For Samuel, $1,450 in rent, plus $90 in utilities, plus $410 in food, plus $120 in transportation leaves about $1,730 a month to cover savings, emergencies, and everything else. Life throws out that is not comfort. That is a razor-thin margin between stability and a single-month gap between the paycheck promises and actually stays is not a personal failure. It is a system doing exactly what it was designed to do. Remember, $75,000 is the top of the minimum wage criteria that would put him at the very top. This guy is not there yet. He did everything right on paper. He finished college, steady work, and moved to a city with opportunity, and yet every month the math is not desperate to understand why you have to see where the money actually goes. All right, here is where the money starts disappearing. Samuel takes home about $4,100 a month after federal and state taxes and his 401k contribution come out. That is the real number, not the 5416 on the offer letter. The real number he works with is $4,150 a month. That is a one-bedroom apartment in a decent neighborhood in New Orleans, and alone takes 35% of his take-home pay. Housing experts generally say you should spend no more than 30% of your income on rent. Samuel is already over that line, and he has not paid a single bill yet. Add renter's insurance at $18 a month and his housing costs come to $1,468 every single month after rent. The monthly obligations keep coming. Electricity and gas run about $90 a month on average. Though that number in summer, when New Orleans gets brutally hot and the AC runs constantly, internet is $65, his phone is $80. He needs it for insurance is $140 because he used 2018 Honda Accord that he bought outright to avoid a car payment. Even that smart move still cost him $140 every month just to keep the car legal and insured. Streaming services. He has to add another $28 that brings his fixed monthly obligations, rent included, to just under $1,871. He has $2,220 left for food, gas, clothing, savings, emergencies, going out visiting family. All of it. Food is where solo city life gets expensive fast. When you live alone, you cannot buy inefficiently. A rotisserie chicken is enough for 2 nights, maybe 3, a bag of salad, mix bad before you finish it. Half the time, Samuel shops at a regular grocery store and spends about $320 a month on groceries. He cooks money, but he also orders takeout or food on the go about 6 or 7 times a month. That adds another $90 in takeout. Sounds like a lot until you remember it is one tired weeknight after a long commute. Food total $410 a month. That leaves him $1,800. Samuel drive to work $80 a month. Working at the office is covered by his employer, but if he goes into the city on weekends or restaurant, a place downtown, parking or rideshare adds up fast. Budget $40 a month for that transportation cost, about $120 beyond what he already pays for insurance. That brings his remaining balance down to $1,699. And we have not touched savings yet. We have not touched a haircut. A doctor visit, new work shoes when the old ones wear out, for a plane ticket home for Christmas. Samuel saves $300 a month into a savings account. That is his rule to himself. Also contribute 4% of his gross salary to his 401 that was already taken out before his take-home pay, so he is saving something which puts him ahead of a lot of people. But $300 a month is $600 a year in New Orleans, a genuine financial emergency. $300 a month into a savings account, that is his rule to himself. Also contribute 4% of his gross salary to his 401 that was already taken out before his take-home pay, so he is saving something which puts him ahead of a lot of people. But $300 a month is $600 a year, genuine. Buy a car repair, a medical bill. A sudden lease can easily cost $2,000 or more in a single day. That's crazy. Entire annual cash savings would be gone in 2 months after the $300 goes into savings. Samuel has $1,399 left to cover personal care, clothing, medical co-pays, and anything unexpected. He runs a tight shift and somewhere between $200 and $400 in the positive. Not flush back from the number for a moment, then just follow Samuel through a regular day. He wakes up around 6:30 in the morning. He makes coffee at home. That is a choice, not a preference. A daily coffee shop would cost him $120 a month. He gets dressed, checks his email, and drives 25 minutes to the office. He eats lunch. He gets back home around 6:15 in the evening. Dinner, usually something quick: rice, protein, vegetables. He watches something for an hour. He might call his mother. He goes to sleep around 10:30. That is Tuesday. Wednesday is almost identical. The routine is not glamorous, but it is the life of a man who is managing his money carefully because he has to. There's something else going on here that the numbers alone do not fully capture. Living alone means every decision lands on one person. If Samuel's car breaks down with anyone, if he has a rough month and there is no partner's income to absorb the difference, if he wants to visit his family for a long weekend, he has to weigh $300 in flights, makes sense this month, or whether it needs to wait. The autonomy is real space, his decision, but the pressure research from the Russell Sage Foundation found that black men are more likely to live alone than their white counterparts, and that among college-educated black men in their 20s and 30s, which is exactly Samuel living alone, is actually the most common living arrangement. This is not unusual. This is the norm for men like him. Situation is not where he lives, what he can afford, and how exposed to financial shocks. Black unemployment in 2023 ran at 5.5% above the national average, which means the job market is less forgiving for black workers. If something goes wrong, research on a residential pattern shows that black single adults living alone tend to cluster. Neighborhoods' housing costs are shaped by decades of segregation and underinvestment. That's crazy, right? Income equivalent black and white renters do not end up in the same neighborhood because race continues to influence residential patterns independently of income. That means practically Samuel reflects not the New Orleans uptown slice of that market available to someone in his position. Every month, Samuel makes trade-off. He wants to go to a concert with a friend, $75 for a ticket. Check balance says maybe next month he needs new dress shoes for work, $110 until he gets paid. His check engine light flickers on for 2 days. Then he monitors it instead of taking it to the mechanic because a diagnostic visit starts at $90, and he does not know what comes after that. None of these decisions are dramatic. None of them make headlines, but they are the texture of his financial life, a constant low-level calculation in the background of every day. When people talk about financial stress, they often picture someone who is drowning, but there's a different kind of stress that does not look like drowning at all. It looks like a man with a job at a clean apartment quietly doing math every time he opens his wallet. Yes, guys, I want to tell you something. This can be any one of us. But if we join together, a listen to the voice speaking to our soul will make the changes needed. Stay tuned.